We are now live on HHTV. You may begin.
Welcome everybody to the June 15, 2021 meeting of your Residents Council. I am Peter Shapiro, Council President. Happy to have you all joining us, whether live or later on by recording. We have a pretty full agenda, and it's a wonderful agenda. We have arranged for Brian Levitt, our Director of Information Services at Horizon House, to talk about Alexa and respond to the questions you have submitted. And this is not all the things, but Cami Elbow and Susan Barish will describe the many wonderful opportunities to engage in joyous service to our community in the Monday market, which is the vital lifeblood of Horizon House. Dick Clark, Chair of the Resident Council Nominating Committee, will describe how you can help choose the next and future generation of leadership. Ruth Ella will provide details about the summer picnic. Yay, we're back to that now. That's great. And Sam Dworkin will describe the important role of friendly visitors in the lives of our assisted living neighbors. So I'll turn the microphone over to Connie Hillier to present the minutes.
Hi. The minutes of the previous regular meeting held on May 18th have been circulated to the council members and reviewed and corrected, and I now submit them for formal approval.
Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
I approve.
The meeting. And May Gerstle, you're recognized to it.
I second.
And Dick Clark seconds. Any discussion, any questions? All in favor on the council, please raise your hand and signify vocally. Okay, any opposed? The motion to approve the minutes carries. Thank you very much, Connie. Excellent job as always. Thank you. Next up is our treasurer, Diane Tinker. She will present the financial statements. And begin, Diane.
All right, you see on this slide, we had a good month in May thanks to Monday Market. Net income for May was $3,646. For the year to date, we have a net income of $5,548. This month, we will be making one of our 2 contributions to the Residents Assistance Fund, Partners in Caring. Here is a copy, a replica of the check. We will be making a contribution of $7,500 this month. We will make another similar contribution in January.
Excellent. Thank you so much. You know, this is part of what the Monday Market allows us to do, which is to support our neighbors monetarily, as well as put on our programs and everything else. It would be a different world if we didn't have the Monday Market leading the way with what all they do. So thank you, Diane. And now I'll turn it over to Cami and Susan for their normal report, monthly report about the market. They'll be back later to talk about volunteer opportunities. So here we go. I got to show the slide, right? Okay. Fumble fingers here. Okay. Cami and Susan, take it away.
So I just want to check. It sounds like you want us to give a brief report now, as usual, and then talk about volunteers hearing later.
Yes, that's right.
This is a surprise. I will just say that we're doing better than expected, given that we still have no outsiders shopping. We're having lots of donations, especially this last week. We've had many donations from people who are moving to supported living, people who are moving in. We've been averaging about $1,300 a week, and it's been quite steady. So that's, you know, sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's lower, but it's great. And when we can finally get outsiders, we'll make a little more money. But in the meantime, we're plugging away.
Excellent. Well, I didn't know that you weren't prepared.
We're
I mean, it
prepared
didn't
for-
sound like you weren't
Well,
prepared.
we're prepared for the one thing, which I guess we're going to do later.
All right. Well, I'm sorry about the miscommunication. I apologize. Okay, and Susan Barris, you have something to add in terms of this immediate report?
Well, I can just say that we have been receiving lots of donations lately. I would ask that people not bring donations on Monday. We are really busy on Monday, and it's very hard for us to bring donations into the workrooms and have that taking up space while we're trying to just keep the market going and all the activity of the volunteers in and out. So it would help if you could hold your donations. The other thing we probably should start mentioning is that in July, the market will be taking a week off. And so I think we're going to be open on the 12th. We'll be closing the donation bins on the 13th, and we will be closed on the 19th and reopening the donation bins on the 20th. So we'll be posting more information about that, but just giving you a little advanced warning, because I know some of those dates fall within Residents Council meeting times as well.
And of course, the Residents Council does not meet in July either, but I'm so glad you're taking some time off. That is tremendous. So thank you very much, Cami and Susan. Okay, next up is Brian Levitt to talk about Alexa. There's a lot to talk about. There are questions that have been buzzing around the community, and we have some of them to present to Brian. He's going to talk about Alexa, what it does, etc., for a while, and then perhaps we'll have those questions if he hasn't covered them already during his presentation. So as soon as my pointer works, turn it over to Brian.
Great. Hi, everyone. I did a quick PowerPoint I'll use as we, excuse me, go through all the stuff about Alexa. Move you guys over. So what I thought I would do is just give a brief overview of voice technology basics, addressing some of the key terms and how voice assistants work, and then talk specifically about the K4 platform we use here to manage our Alexas and how that works, and then talk about some of the concerns around voice assistants, around privacy, and then also about some of the utility people find with them. So just to start, I wanted to bring up 3 key terms that are kind of very specific to voice technology and how it works, just so we all have a good understanding of what those are and how they relate to using this type of technology. The first thing I want to talk about is the wake word. And this is the thing that activates the device from being a passive listener to being an active listener. In other words, it turns it on so it knows it's going to get a command to do something. So on your iPhone, it's when you talk about Siri. With the Amazon devices, it's when you say Alexa. If you have a Google Home, it's OK Google. And Samsung has one. There are a bunch of them, but all of them work with this wake word. Then there's the next term I want to move to is skill. Now, skill is what happens after you ask the thing to do something. So the skill is like the app you have on your computer or your phone, but it's what's happening on that the device is going to tell you about. So when you ask Alexa, what time is it? Time is a skill that Alexa will use to give you the accurate time. Then the last thing I want to talk about is artificial intelligence. And this is a huge topic. So I just found a definition that I think covers it, but I mean, books are written on this and people have degrees in this. So this is pretty simplified, but the theory and development of computer systems able to perform tasks that normally require human intelligence, such as visual perception, speech recognition, decision-making, and translation between languages. So artificial intelligence isn't as much as a thing as it is a process. It's a way to make things work together. And it's very much what happens in voice technology. The skills that we use are using artificial intelligence to process the commands and to get the information we need and then turn it back into speech. So I found what seems to be a good basic diagram that explains how all this works. So if we look here on the left, we have our user who is going to send a query to the device. The device goes up to the services platform, which then converts that into a command. Once the command goes there, it figures out, well, what system is going to respond to that command? It sends it off to the place where the information lives. It sends it back, goes back, gets processed, turns back into voice, goes to the service platform, comes back to your device and speaks to you. So it happens very briefly, but all of the work that's happening, the artificial intelligence piece, that's all back here. That's actually off of your device. And this is just kind of the gateway to making that kind of stuff happen. So that's basically how all digital assistants function. So we could take this same diagram and remove the Amazon voice service and put in Apple or Google. They all basically function in the same way with little nuances. Okay, so that's voice assistants and voice technology in general. Now I want to move on and talk about what we have here at Horizon House. So we've been working with a company called K4 Connect that creates a platform that helps us better communicate. So what it does is it provides us one tool where we can centrally manage all the information we want to share, and then we can send it out during different channels. So on our system, we can send stuff out through the Alexa skill, through HHTV, on signage, and we can create both print and electronic signage. And then also what's coming soon will be the K4 Community app, which would be an app that's available on your phone or tablet, as well as on your computer in a web browser. So specifically with the K4 Alexa, or this is the K4 skill that's running on Alexa, you can check your mail for the delivery status. You can hear events and activities. You can hear the dining specials. You can hear community announcements and notices. You can call frequently used Horizon House services like the front desk or the salon. The K4 Alexa devices are a little different than what you would normally buy as a consumer. These are business devices, and there are some differences between them and what you would buy on your own. So these are business devices that are managed as a fleet. They're not associated with any particular person, but they're associated with K4 and Horizon House. With these devices, you can access personal contact, but you cannot access anything that is part of the K4 system, and also anything that's just a publicly accessible skill, like certain music from iHeartMusic and things like that, but nothing that's personal to your own account. So, and then I want to move on and just sort of talk about how these things, how they try to work on privacy in these things, because that is definitely a concern around the use of these. So what they've tried to do in their design is to make sure you know when Alexa's listening, or really and this really applies to almost all of these tools, but that you have to use a wake word to activate it. Now, Alexa is always there listening for the wake word, but it's a passive listening, and the only thing it does is listen for that one wake word. Once it gets the wake word, it sends a visual cue by turning the its indicator a different color to let you know it's actively listening, and it will also make a tone, so you know it's actually actively listening. If it doesn't hear anything after about 10 or 15 seconds, it times itself out and goes back into its passive listening mode. You can also mute the device by pressing the mute button, which will then, with a visual cue, turn it red, so you know it's not listening. So these are the built-in features for privacy that are in there. So common issues and concerns. So as much as they've built in these features for privacy, it's very possible to accidentally wake up one of these devices. Now, I found some of the common wake words that will wake up these different devices. Alexa will answer to unacceptable, election, all excellent, a letter. Google Home can wake up to okay, cool, okay, who is reading. Siri, the real common one is a city. But the fact that they can accidentally wake up isn't the problem. I think where people get concerned is because of how this technology works, as soon as the device wakes up and starts listening, it starts to record the command that's coming after it. So it can send that up to the service that's going to translate it into what you want. So that's where we start to get some concern. Is like, oh, you know, they're recording me. Well, it's not a full recording, but it is recording for a while. And then what happens when these recordings go up to the service is that a small percentage of them, they're going to do some quality assurance on to make sure this is what Alexa heard and this is what Alexa did. So they can improve their process and make sure that Alexa is being accurate when she's listening to you. So a certain amount of that happens there, but it's not personally identifiable. It's just the command, and what happened after it is what happens there. So that's the basics of the recording that happens there. It's usually small and brief. On our platform, because we're on a business platform, ours are not recorded in that same way, but that really applies more to the consumer devices. The other concern that's come up is about Amazon Sidewalk, which is a new service Amazon announced that involves their Ring doorbells and some of the Amazon Alexa devices. And basically what this does is it sets up a very low bandwidth, low intensity Wi-Fi network. So if someone's Ring doorbell, for example, gets blown off the network because maybe someone's breaking into the house and they've cut off the network or something, it can pick up another network broadcast and still continue to function. That's the design idea behind it. It doesn't provide access into your personal network, but it would be something that would just be a separate network, kind of the same way Comcast broadcasts a separate Xfinity Wi-Fi off of all of their routers in the community. They're using maybe a small fraction of bandwidth, but they're not connecting to your personal network. It's a little different that way. On our system, again, because they're business devices, the Amazon Sidewalk is not something that is activated or part of what we use here. This is really something that's on consumer devices. And if you do have your personally owned Amazon device, you can go into the Alexa app and turn off this feature. I would have personally preferred if Amazon had done this where it was more of an opt-in rather than an opt-out, but they do make it fairly simple to turn it off.
But you're saying, Brian, that we don't need to opt out because it doesn't apply to the commercial form of Alexa?
Exactly, yes. This doesn't apply to us. We're all on our own kind of separate Alexa network here in the building. So it doesn't share anything here. So
That was one of the concerns came up recently because of the announcements by Amazon about this new process. So I hope that's been a satisfactory answer for everybody. And the other thing that was most important was the privacy issue and whether or not there was, quote, eavesdropping possible. And I hope that you've satisfied people on that issue. I can't really say very much more. If there are concerns, certainly people don't have to use Alexa. It's proven to many people to be very, very helpful, but that's not for everybody. One person wrote and said, I just don't like hearing these voices, these sounds coming in. I like quiet. Well, okay, the choice is not to have that. One person wrote about all the wonderful things and reminders that they got daily 5 or 6 times a day to not to miss the residence council meeting, not to miss a program B, program C, and so on. So there are lots of positives, but it's entirely voluntary, right, Brian? Residents are not required to keep them functioning, and they should just return them, right?
yeah, exactly. I mean, if people would like them, they can ask for ones at the front desk. If they have one they don't want to use anymore, they can return it to the front desk. It's pretty straightforward.
So Audrey's been monitoring your comments and the questions we had. Audrey, is there anything else you think needs some emphasis?
No, I can't think of it. No.
Okay, good. Okay, well, Brian, we could spend a lot more time, and maybe there's going to be a need to do that at some point. Please let us, the Residence Council, know if you feel that we need to do some additional follow-up or try to figure out a way to do that so that everybody eventually gets all the information they want and has all the questions answered. Brian, thank you. Thank you very, very much.
Okay, my pleasure. Thanks, everyone. It was great to see you all.
Bye. Okay. So next up is the management report. Mike Ostrom is away right now, and so subbing for him will be Christy Seymour with the management report and a particular topic that she's going to present to us.
Thank you.
Christy.
Thank you, Peter. Glad to be here. Most of you probably know that Mike is away on vacation. He is enjoying some well-deserved time in Hawaii this week and last week, so we hope he's having a great time. So I'm just filling in for a few announcements, and then I have a topic of my own I'd like to share with you. First off, I just go through what Mike would normally have shared. Bright spots, I think hopefully some of you got out to enjoy the Memorial Day barbecue that happened a few weeks ago. The pictures that were taken there, that looked like a really fun event. So hopefully you all got to enjoy some of that. I know the barbecues are popular. The staff had a barbecue today too, so we got to partake in some of that. So that was fun too. A mask reminder. I know this is getting a little tedious because we are all ready to move on from masks, but we do need to continue to wear masks while we're out and about in the community, in the public areas. We are under government mandate to still do that. And hopefully by the end of this month, that will change when Governor Inslee comes out with some changes. But for now, we still are required to wear masks while we are out and about in public spaces. The grocery van, that's going to be starting up next week. So if you haven't heard about that, or if you'd like to sign up, you can contact the concierge and sign up for a grocery trip. Those will be starting off again this month. So we're excited to be able to bring that back. It's been a long time. And then Monday, June 21st, next week, we have the Methuen Architect presentation. That will be an in-person event, however, limited capacity. So first come, first serve. It will also be recorded and replayed on HHTV later, not live as this is being done today, but it will be replayed later. So see the alert for details, but our new architects will be giving a presentation next week.
Actually, Christy, we are going to live stream the Methuen presentation and also hold it live in Anderson Hall.
Great. There you go. Risa would know. So Risa, is that the same for the fireside chat then on Friday, the 25th?
That is correct.
Okay, so there'll be some in-person seating that you can come down and view it in person, or you can stay in your apartments and enjoy it live, whichever you choose. So again, limited capacity in Anderson Hall. All right, so that is all I have for sort of the management updates, but Peter, is this the right time now to go into my risk management piece?
Well, I think it might be better, unless timing is essential, to invite you back to do that, because we are running short on time.
Sure, okay, no worries.
Okay, we'll find a way to get that information in front of people.
Okay, no worries.
Just say a few words of what you and I are talking about. What is risk management situation?
Yeah, the Board of Trustees at their last meeting in May approved a new risk management plan for Horizon House. And I'll just preface this by saying risk management isn't new to Horizon House. It's something we've been doing for decades, but it is a more formalized plan. And I was going to kind of share with you, how that came about, why we're doing that now, what the plan is made up of. But we can hold off on that. It's nothing super urgent. It was just more an FYI for all of your information.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much for your courtesy on holding back on that right now.
No worries.
Thanks. Okay, so next we'll be talking, as soon as I clear my throat, we'll be talking about residence council elections. Dick Clark is the chair of that committee. This is a process that's starting today, and it leads to elections of people to the committee, to the council at the end of the year. And it basically represents your choices of the future leadership of the Residence Council. So it's a very important process. Dick, you have the microphone.
Thank you, Peter. Well, fellow residents, this is a great opportunity, like many that we have here at Horizon House, to continue a strong Residence Council. We have 15 members and 3-year terms. So we turn over 5 people every year. And it's this time of year that we're looking for nominations to fill those 5 spots. The nominating committee is an excellent group. By our bylaws, only one of them can serve currently on the resident council, and that happens to be me. Each resident has an opportunity to nominate a potential candidate for the board. Nominees should have lived in Horizon House long enough to know the value of the resident council and the strength it brings to the programs, committees, and opportunities as we enjoy life at this wonderful retirement community. The nominating slip reported in your box as of yesterday. And if you're going to nominate someone, please check with that nominee to assure that each is willing to serve a 3-year term, that they like working collaboratively with others, and they're willing to take on the duties as assigned. Nomination forms are in the cubbies now, and the end of nominations is now set for Friday, July 19th. At that time, and perhaps even earlier, the nominating committee will make phone calls to those that have said yes, just to make sure that that yes is still firm. And then after nomination close, we will have in-person interviews as we talk to people about how they see themselves serving on resident council. With your thoughtful help, the nominating council committee will conduct the interviews and present to the council a slate of 5 residents that best fit the needs of resident council at this time. And that sometimes is what makes the difference between person A and person B. Final voting for this by all residents will take place October 19th. And unless we are open, it will be done in a ballot measure. If you have any questions, the telephone numbers for each of us is on the end of each form, and we would welcome your questions if there are any. Peter, I think that covers a wonderful opportunity for everybody.
Excellent. It should be clear that you're not limited to one nomination. You can.
No, there are 2 slots on there, and if you need more, you figure out how to do it.
all nominations are welcome. And where should people place the result? Place
There are 3 boxes. The box will be in the mailroom, the fireside lounge, and the orchard corner.
Great.
Peter, may I add something?
Yes, go ahead, Audrey.
And that is if the person who has agreed that they would like to be nominated does not make that final 5-person slate, they can be nominated from the floor, either by themselves or by someone else. So the election is not limited to that slate of 5.
Okay, that's quite true. And thanks for pointing that out, Audrey. Thank you. Okay, now we come to what I call the Monday market story, because it is a marvelous long-term running hit. It is the lifeblood, the soul and heart function and lungs, basically, of the Horizon House community. We would be entirely different if we didn't have the Monday market providing us the opportunity to run things the way we want, present the programs we want, do the activities we want, and so on. If we had to rely upon a appointed, hired entertainment director, it would be an entirely different feeling, and you know that. So it's really important, and I am very delighted to be able to say that we have spoken to a person who is ready and willing and will be taking over Susan Barish's position next year as one of the 2 long-serving co-directors. And it is my pleasure to announce to everybody else who hasn't already heard it that Jennifer Stucker is that person. And let's thank her so much for being part of this, So I'll turn it out over to Susan. Perhaps Jennifer might want to say a word or two, and Cammie. Go ahead, folks. Cammie and Susan. Jennifer.
Okay.
Susan.
Thank you, Peter. Yes, we are absolutely thrilled. Jennifer has been involved with the market very faithfully, doing our ironing and anything else that she could do. And she continues to do that for a while, but she's also working every workday with us. And she's just hit the ground running. She's going to be absolutely fabulous. And all the people who've been working in my part of the market are delighted, and they're going to stay. So we have a good solid base there. A little background. The market, it is indeed the lifeblood of Horizon House, and it's been going since 1989. And it was founded first as a flea market. It has been upgraded over the years, and we now are a more elegant Monday market. And it really is the sole funding source for all of the committees and activities here at Horizon House, as well as the additional money that is given to Partners in Caring and some GEM grant support too. So it's a major source of support for the whole of Horizon House. And all the things that we sell in the market are donated by residents. So they're top quality. And so now I'd like to turn it over to Cammie, and she's going to talk a little bit more on the subject of the market. But welcome, Jennifer.
Yes, welcome, Jennifer. So Jennifer and Susan, their primary responsibility has to do with the clothing in the market, and my primary responsibility has to do with housewares and furniture. And we don't yet have anybody who's stepped up to be co-director to replace me in that area. So we're looking at you, folks. There's lots of ways to be involved. You don't have to be a co-director. You can start in many, many other ways. The official signups for everything on the Residents Council, all the activities, is in February, including the Monday market, but you do not need to wait until February. If you would like to get involved, talk to me, talk to Susan anytime. We will put you to work, and you can just jump in. We're fairly well staffed at the moment, but we're always looking for new faces, always looking for new energy, new residents. We would love to have you involved in one way or another. Most of the shifts are 2-hour shifts, and they can be every week. They can be 3 or 4 times a week. They can be once a month. Especially now that the summer's coming, we need subs because people take vacations. And if someone calls and says, well, I'll be in Hawaii for 3 weeks, can you find someone to take my spot? It's nice to have a good list of folks who can do that. The easiest way to work in the market is usually on the sales floor, on Mondays when we're open, helping customers find what they're looking for, answering questions. If they're carrying a lot of stuff that they've picked up in various departments, bringing them a basket and saying, can I help you carry that stuff around? So there's a whole lot of different areas on the floor, as you know, where I'm especially right now looking for someone to work one particular shift in the back room, which is what we call the electronics area, where we have radios and televisions and DVD players and tools. This has often been a man, but I'm here to tell you it does not need to be a man. It's kind of been the tradition, but it's totally not necessary. Anybody who's not afraid of electronics is really able to do that. So if you're interested in that, let me know. We have various things behind the scenes. As I say, we're pretty well staffed, but again, always looking for more people we can put you to work washing dishes and carrying stuff around. And I mean, there's just endless numbers of things to do. The cashier crew is always on the lookout for people who'd like to work right up in the front of the market there on the cash register or wrapping things for people. It's a great way to see everybody who's in Horizon House and get to know them. So as Peter mentioned and as Susan mentioned, the Monday market really is the heart of Horizon House. It's where everything, my husband calls it the engine room. It's where everything comes from that makes this a great place to live. And the Monday market only works if lots of people are making it work. It doesn't take just, me and Susan. It takes 30 or 40 or 45 people who all make a commitment to making the Monday market work. So we're hoping if you're not already involved, you could be one of them. Thank you.
Well, that's marvelous. That is marvelous. I think it's a great opportunity for people who may be already involved in other things, but certainly people who are not involved yet in activities to give it a try, because we need to have this a vital function in our community, and it's fun. It's fun. It really is a great institution. So thank you, Cammie and Susan, for your tremendous service. My gosh, it has been just a wonderful operation under your leadership, and we still have you for a while. So that's wonderful too. Okay, thanks very much. Okay, so now fingers go to work, get to the right part. We will be going on to coordinator reports. These are folks who supervise various committees, and we'll be hearing from Judy Ostro and May Gerstle. So Judy and May, it's all yours. You need to unmute, Judy.
Can you hear me now, Peter?
Yes, great.
Okay. Well, hello, everyone. Yes, I'm the coordinator on the Resident Council for the Memorial Day Committee. It's my privilege and pleasure to acknowledge the recent program on May 31st, which was hosted by Admiral Tom Hayward. Tom invited his friend and former naval colleague, Captain Jim Patton, to describe 3 critical World War II naval battles in the Pacific, which led ultimately to the defeat of Japan. They were Leyte Gulf, Iwo Jima, and Okinawa, names familiar to all of us. Each one required appropriate strategy, effective deployment of our land and sea forces, and demonstrated the outstanding courage and dedication of the military personnel involved. Captain Patton described the decision processes of the leaders which ultimately formed the campaigns. He aided our understanding of these critical battles with the use of maps. He also presented graphic information about the astounding building program of our naval fleet, excuse me, from 390 ships to over 7,000 during the course of the war. Captain Patton was followed by George Counts, who hosted a very moving portrayal of the awarding of Medals of Honor, sadly, many posthumously. The concluding program speaker was Brent Brentnall, who led a prayer in honor of the extraordinary bravery and sacrifice of those who ultimately achieved final victory. This was Captain Patton's third presentation here at Horizon House, and I know that we will look forward to a future visit and the opportunity to learn additional history of the war which dominated the youth.
Hello. Hi, Dave.
Ruth,
5:15. Terrific. Great.
Judy, continue.
Well, I was going to say, I'm concluding by saying our thanks to the Memorial Day Committee for this valuable and inspiring program.
Okay, great, Judy. Yes, it was a tremendous program. What a story. What a story. It's always difficult in some ways, but inspiring in others to live through it again. May, you have your report?
We're seeing a gradual increase in newly occupied apartments. We are welcoming our new residents in a few new ways, in addition to the traditional ones. Bernice Kastner heads up the welcoming committee, and Marianne Gray and her crew organized the lovely new residence mixer parties, which are events intended for new residents to eat and drink and get to know more about the Horizon House community. Your residence council budgets and pays for all of these welcoming gatherings. Each new resident also has a mentor upon arrival who can now invite them to lunch or brunch in the dining room. In this smaller setting, new residents can ask any questions that they might have, like, where do all those elevators go? Or where's the dry cleaning service located? Do we even have one? So each new resident also receives a Horizon House guidebook, which is a very handy reference guide, as well as a list of all the resident council programs and offerings. Linda Merritt chairs this endeavor and is currently updating the guide. Just recently, we've added a new feature, which is to put up a photograph and a biographical short story of each new willing resident on a designated bulletin board in the mailroom. You will see this additional welcome feature very soon. And that is a joint endeavor between the welcoming committee and the communication committee. So by all these things, you will be meeting a lot of new, interesting neighbors, and you'll be making more new friends.
That's great. Thank you so much, May. Yes, Audrey and I and others who participate in the orientations have found them to be just a wonderful experience for us, and their equivalents that you have just mentioned as well. So that's great. Thank you so much for all that work and what you're doing. We continue with a tradition now of shining a spotlight on our committees. And today we'll be hearing from Ruth Ella to tell us the exciting news about the summer picnic. First time in 2 years. It was quite a zoo last year, up and down, yes, no, on, off orders, don't order, cancel orders. This year we hopefully, and it seems like we'll have much smoother sailing. And then we'll hear from Sam Dworkin, who heads up a really important function of organizing friendly visitors to go in and provide support and caring to folks who are in assisted living. So Ruth, you're on, and tell me when you'd like your slide to show.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you. Welcome all. And I invite you all to come to the Follow the Yellow Brick Road to the summer picnic, which will be on the 28th of July, downstairs on the D level and possibly the C level, but mainly on D because that's where we have the most space. And
sounds like a good time for a slide.
Okay. The theme of the picnic this year is, as I said, follow the yellow brick road based on the Wizard of Oz. And the theme came from our friend Ted Borchett. And executive chef Steve Carson is very busy working on a wonderful dinner menu for us. We'll meet from 5 to 7 o'clock on July 28th, which is a Wednesday, the last Wednesday in July. And dinner will be from 5 to 7. And at the end of dinner at 7, when it stops, we will show the movie, The Wizard of Oz. And I think that will be fun and a wonderful ending for a fascinating day. This year we will be tented, so we will be comfortable, not having hot sun directly on our heads. Patty Flowers will be doing the decorations, and of course, they will be exotic and wonderful. And we invite everybody to come in costume because The Wizard of Oz was that kind of play. And we want to make it more fun by having people dress up. So look at one another and decide whether you'd rather be a straw man or a tin man, but do come and show up with a fun looking personality, something that you ordinarily do not wear. And there will be music created really by Zoa Shumway and her wild group of ukulele players. They've been practicing all season to produce a very interesting show. And there will be also a chance to join them with a good sing-along part of the program. So, as you know, we can only offer this to our residents. No one from the outside is able to be invited. So it's up to us to have a great and exciting time. So unless there are any basic questions, I'll say thank you.
Thank you, Ruth, and your committee. And it sounds like you have crammed 2 years worth of entertainment and fun to make up for the missed one last year. So great work indeed. Okay, Sam, tell us what you have on your mind about helping our assisted living residents.
Thank you. And I want to thank the Resident Council for this opportunity to tell you the why, as well as the what of the Council's Assisted Living Friendly Visits Committee. I'll show a couple of slides later on summarizing the aims and methods of the Friendly Visits Committee. But first, it's important to be aware that two critical domains make up the assisted living services we provide. One is in support of maintaining the physical health of the body. The other is in support of maintaining the person's behavioral, emotional, social needs through engagements in its activities and programs. And it's only the latter, the psychosocial domain, that is the province of the Life Enrichment Program. Mona and I, my wife, came to Horizon House and to volunteering in AL in late 2016 with our dog Django, our emotional support dog. The first impression was that it was sobering for us to observe how much time assisted living residents spend alone. Assisted living residents like us, like me and you, they all come from independent living. But these once dynamic and accomplished people like us, again, like you, were apparently walled off. And the bridge that crosses the independent living, assisted living conceptual divide was weak and sparsely used. Our anxieties were, we found, common in independent living, and avoidance of discussing things assisted living related. Not the reaction of all, but the most prevalent reaction. Yet, we found in the Life Enrichment Program great ideas, lots of engagement, activities, but a staff of 2, including in 2016, the new recruit, Rayanne McAllister, you'll hear more about. We reawakened a dormant friendly visit committee in early 2017, volunteering as committee chairs. Could I have slide 1, please? And this slide is the slide that resulted, you can read it. It shows the vision, the mission, and the strategies, and I'll just continue on my way. The committee asks independent living volunteers for their creativity, energy, and humanity to engage assisted living residents one-on-one. And beginning from 2018 to 2021, residents in increasing numbers have signed up, and our personal anxieties about assisted living faded away. So that's what the Friendly Visits Committee is all about. In 2021, around 30 independent living volunteers now help assisted living residents shape their own experiences as best they can to bring independent living's type of engagement back to life in AL. Each assisted living resident, for example, now has reserved seating for Wednesday Night Live, for the OK Corral performances, string-alongs play only for them, and there's lots more. And it was independent and assisted living residents working together that made that happen. We have had the administration and the professional staff willing to lead, support, and expand life enrichment to turn things around. In 2019, they put Charles Williams, a registered nurse, an RN, the first director, appointed him the first director of assisted living, the first one, the only one to come from outside of Horizon House. In 2021, Erica Campbell, a geriatric mental health social worker, came as care connector. She's brand new. And assisted living now has 5 life enrichment associates that work with Rayanne McAllister, who is now the manager of the life enrichment program. Those 5 people working under her guidance. Then, just as assisted living was growing into not just a physical space, but as a concept, the pandemic struck. Assisted living was isolated and hit the hardest, and we all know that here. Our frustrated committee could not function in assisted living for more than a year. No one could come into assisted living from either in the house or outside. But we understand that that containment was for Horizon House's common good. Ingenuity by committee members brought some relief. We used individual apartment phone calls, sent e-pictures, sent email messages, and Zoom sing-alongs to stay in touch as best we could, all with staff support, who, by the way, 2 times a week bring Django and other Horizon House dogs to assisted living. It's easier for the dogs to get in than us. So where are we right now? Things are easing for assisted living as they are for the independent living residents, but access is still limited, even from inside independent living residents and frankly, the Friendly Visits Committee, but we're optimistic. So in this amount of time, to learn more that could be touched, that we could possibly present today, we invite you to call us. Our phone is 2727. Our email is dworkin at uw.edu. And Rianne and I and Mona and other members of the committee want to learn your reactions, answer your questions, tell us how you would do it. And of course, you can join the Friendly Visit Committee at any time. Again, thank you for all your support.
A great report, Sam, and thank you for all you're doing and your ingenuity and carrying on over the COVID era. That's good to hear. I didn't know most of that, and that's really wonderful to learn now.
Thank you.
Okay, so now I'll dispense with showing the slide, which will simply say questions and answers from Audrey Whitecap, our Vice President for Administration. It's yours, Audrey.
Thanks very much. I have three quickie things for you. One is that we were told over and over that everything from the dining room is compostable. That is temporarily not true. If you get one of these very big plastic clamshells and it doesn't say anything about eco on the front, please rinse it out and put it in the recycle. That's a temporary thing until we get back to the compostable ones. Secondly, somebody asked, what's the process for getting appliances replaced after they die or quit working? And how can residents be part of the process of picking out a new one? I got those answers from Eli Lemensky and Sean McMahon. You start out by submitting a work order. They'll come and take a look at the appliance, find out if it can be fixed or if it needs replacing. They generally have regular replacement options, but if there's something special you want, a different brand, ask for it and see what it gets you. I've known people who could get a different brand. They had to make up a difference in cost, but it's worth trying, and they will decide if it will work. It has to be have commercial 208 volt compatibility, and they have to be able to get parts for it and things like that. The third thing is if you have trouble, you've turned on 370 and your program doesn't come on, call downstairs, call the front desk and just tell them you're waiting. There has been a lot of dissatisfaction with 370 lately, and that'll be a topic that we'll go into in more detail after our break, our July break. Thanks, Peter. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Audrey. Let me add a comment on that last point about calling. Anybody can call down to the desk, and that'll be a prompt for them to do something. It'll be particularly helpful if the people who have arranged for the program, who know what they're expecting, who might know where the disc is that isn't being used, would be the ones to call. It might speed things up and get things moving in the right track. I was thinking a little bit during Brian's talk, and I made an offer. It's not an offer of giving my sleeves off my vest. It's a real offer to follow up further on the questions about Alexa that are of interest to you, bothering you, or whatever. And one thought that occurred to me was, there are the small group meetings. They have not been fully booked. And a lot of it is listening to management, but you can always speak up and throw your question at anybody who's there, whether it has anything to do with what the management is presenting. And that's an opportunity that you should consider when they announce the next round. I think there's a capacity of 30 people, something like that, 25, 30 people, and they've only been half filled since we went into a Zoom type of a session as opposed to a live session. So that's all I have, except to remind you that we will be taking sort of a vacation. Anyway, the Residents Council will not be presenting a program in July. Our next meeting will be in August. And for those of you who have a getaway coming, or even if it's just an afternoon, have a wonderful, wonderful summer. And now, Risa, I'll close the meeting and you can close the webinar. Thanks, everybody.